Hiya, welcome. If you are tuning in to this live stream, do say hello in the comments. I'll just wait a little while. Well, let us just get started with this live stream. If you're watching this back, you can leave a comment after the fact. But I'm basically continuing my little Venus sort of journey. And last time I did Venus in Scorpio, and I did that live, and I quite enjoyed it. So I'm going to do this one and all the other sort of Venus videos live via these streams. So hopefully you enjoy. And this is, of course, Venus entering Sagittarius. And Venus is going to officially enter Sagittarius, or ingress Sagittarius in the fancy astrological language. Venus ingresses Sag on December 16th, officially, so in just a couple days. And it will leave Sagittarius on the 9th of January next year. And also today is the new moon in Sagittarius, December 14th, Monday Moon Day. Today is the new moon. So shout out especially to anyone who has anything natally, 23 degrees of Sagittarius especially, and Gemini and the other mutable signs, Virgo and Pisces. So let me know if that's been affecting you and how it's affecting you. And you can check out my new moon in Sag video, which I did recently as well. And if you like this stream, if you like the information that I'm bringing, the interpretations that I have, then please do consider liking this video. It does help. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed already and you like what I do. You can become a Hinster and join. I would love to get to 1,000 subscribers in the next month or so. That would be nice. So share with anyone else you know who's into astrology, especially if they're a Sag, because this Venus transit is very relevant to all the Sages. And also, just another plug of our Mercurial Mystics collaboration, myself and Inspiring Alien Creations. Here on YouTube, we created a channel called Mercurial Mystics. So if you would like to support us, you can go on over to that channel and give it a subscribe. We talk about astrology, tarot, and most recently, aliens. So you can check that out. It's really fun. And we're trying to get some more subscribers. So if that's your jam, do consider giving us a like and subscribe. And finally, if you'd like a book-in with me, for example, you might want a general birth chart reading or a transit report or an astral tower reading, life path reading, Saturn return report, something like that, you can look below in the description, check out the information, which I'll put down there later after the stream. Or you can go to hinnyhigh.com for more information. And that's that. Let's get into it, shall we? Do say hello if you are tuning into the live stream. I'd love to hear who you are, where you are, and I hope you have your birth chart with you or memorized or whatever. So you can also participate in this discussion of Venus going through Sagittarius, and that we can talk about it and how it's going to affect you. So first of all, let's talk about Venus. what is Venus? So Venus is actually, I've been thinking recently that Venus is one of these planets that is kind of um, downplayed. A lot of the time, it's downplayed or doesn't get as much coverage as some of the other planets here on YouTube, um, or it's very like narrowly applied in the sense of like romance or in the sense of attracting money. And that's definitely part of Venus. There are definitely two aspects of Venus, but I think Venus, there's so much more to Venus. And I hope that this series, this journey that I'm going to give for you, um, Venus going through the signs in real time, I hope that this helps myself as well, because I'm always learning, but also you get more insight on all the different sides of Venus um, and what Venus is about in its entirety. But Venus, yes, is the planet of love, romance, it is often said, and the planet of attraction, especially money, material stuff. Um, but Venus is also so much more, right? Venus, and I really have to give a shout out to Paulina Otkina. She's a YouTuber here, an astro psychic, and I've followed her work for at least a year. I love her work. I think she's very authentic and a brilliant mind. And she was one of the first people who really got me thinking about how Venus is actually like our blood. It's like blood pumping through our body. It's like the beat, or it's like the pulse of the collective as well. So Venus is actually quite like Mars in the passionate sense, but it's like blood pumping through you. Um, and I really like that. And Venus is, I think, our beat. It's our vibe. It's what you vibe with. And, when you want to think about what someone's style might be, what their fashion might be, um, the stuff they just vibe with, then that might well relate to their Venus. Um, and Venus is often associated with relationships. Hiya, if you just tune in, do leave a comment in the live stream. Who are you? Where are you? What time is it? And happy new moon in Sag. But Venus is also often associated with relationships, usually just like love and romance, although there's all types of love. But Venus is actually relating in general. So, how we relate, our Venus placement tells us how we relate to every single type of person and everything as well. So, it's not just people and social relationships, but like everything. It's how you relate. Like, do you like it? Do you vibe with it? Or do you not? Or are you somewhere like in the middle? That's Venus. Are you pushing it away in the Venusian way, or are you trying to attract it in the Venusian way? Whether it's a person or a thing or a concept, Venus is how you relate or try not to relate to that person, thing, or concept or place, whatever it is. And Venus is also often associated with harmony. Again, often in the relational sense. So just wanting to vibe, right? You want that blood to keep flowing esoterically, right? So you don't want to fight like Mars might want to fight. You want the blood to just keep flowing. You want the flow to keep going, the vibe to stay on. And so Venus also tells you, your Venus placement, how you deal with the ugly, whether that's like ugly people in your life, like not very harmonious people, not very harmonious things in your life, how you deal with that and how you try to broach peace with those people or with these non-peaceful ugly things or concepts in your life. And Venus, of course, is about pleasure, very often associated with pleasure because it's attraction. You want to attract nice things with Venus. So pleasure, and that can be money, of course, but it can also be lots of other things. It can be food, it can be alcohol. That's very often associated with Venus. Indulgence, alcohol, food, sometimes drugs even. Just anything that makes you feel really good. And sometimes things that are quite indulgent spending wise as well, or consuming wise. So clothes, like really nice, fancy, lavish things. or spending on anything that you can then sort of flaunt a little bit, because Venus is also how we might flaunt or flirt. And so you can flaunt and flirt with material as well, not just within relationships, but with your materials. You can flaunt them. So that's a little bit on Venus. Um, what is Sagittarius then? Because Venus is about to hit this sign. Sagittarius, and I'm going to try to keep this brief, but Sagittarius is a mutable fire sign. And mutable just means it's one of those signs that is forever changing, that is forever spreading itself thin with all kinds of people, all kinds of project, all kinds of thing. And also mutable signs love to spice things up. So if something is stuck, the mutable sign might want to like get it unstuck, help erode it, or help get someone or something out of a rut, get themselves out of a rut with lots of different distractions and tangents. So that's like mutable energy. And Sagittarius is this sign that comes after Scorpio, right? So we talked a lot about Scorpio on my channel recently because we had Scorpio season and we're almost actually kind of done with Sag season as well. It's been so fast. But Sag comes after Scorpio. So imagine this sign comes out of fixed water or fixed ice, as I like to call it, the fixed ice sign or the subversive fire sign, Scorpio. And so Sag is like this phoenix or butterfly. I put a butterfly emoji in this title as well for this stream because I love butterfly spirit in relation to Sagittarius. So Sag is like this butterfly that's coming out of Scorpio, out of the deep, intense emotions and the overthinking and the over psychoanalysis of everything and the fears and the just obsessions and all these scorpionic things that can sometimes weigh us down, especially emotionally. Sag comes out of all of that and is like, no, freedom, 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 and let me run away from often let me run away from emotions as much as possible, or let me at least partition instead of like emotions being kind of the be all end all. But then Sag is striving towards Capricorn. I'm going to be talking more and more about Capricorn very soon on my channel, and you're going to see lots of other astrologers as well talking about Capricorn, even more than we have been this year. But Sag is coming out of Scorpio and striving toward Capricorn. So it's quite interesting because you have Sag coming out of all that intensity, and then right ahead of Sag you have like a huge mountain, because that's what Capricorn is. Capricorn is like a huge, huge mountain that is like, or it's like a really old, wise person that Sag is bumping into on their journey. So Sag is frolicking around the forest, all free and shiz, and like lots of revelry and lots of carefree attitude and kind of the half animal, half human sort of archetype, which is flitting between the magical and the mundane, and being like political but also really like nonchalant at the same time, and like always flitting. You get Sag in all that freedom and that flight bumping into this big mountain or this old person who's like, stop, stop, here's a huge mountain. I like all your philosophies, I like your politics, I like your free ways, but is it gonna make it across this mountain, this Everest behind me? Is it gonna make it? Or are you gonna make it? So that's kind of what Sag is stuck in between. Okay, so Venus is entering this sign that is stuck between Scorpio and Capricorn. So the deep dark well and the mountain. Venus is about to go into that in space in between those two things, which is free, flighty, mutable, changeable fire. And yeah, the dates again, if you're wondering, are December 16th, 2020 to January 9th, 2021. Hi, if you just tune in, do leave a comment. I'd love to know who you are and where you have Sagittarius in your birth chart. So they're the dates. But I also wanted to kind of touch on how Venus is actually a really hot planet. And I mean like the actual literal planet Venus, did you know, is like super hot. I believe it's the second hottest after the sun. So even hotter than Mars. And it's interesting because when you look at these two planets or like images of these planets, Mars is very often depicted as, I mean, it's even freaking cold, the red planet, right? And it's very often associated with anger and passion and war and sex and conquering. That's like Mars, really bright red, sort of seeing red sort of vibes. But Venus, when you look at Venus, the planet looks more like, I call it a creme brulee. Venus looks like a creme brulee. It's like very creamy, sort of whites, very soft, sort of beiges, creams. It looks like such a delicate, like planet, and it looks kind of sweet. If a planet can look sweet, it sort of has those colors, and it's associated with all these things like harmony, and softness, and even femininity, which is yeah, whatever. But it's associated with all those things when actually the planet itself is hotter than Mars. So Venus is actually super duper duper passionate. It's just that it is much more like inward. It's much more inward, um, and it's also much more subversive than the Martian sort of forms of passion, um, and heat. Um, so yeah, you have Venus and which is actually a very fiery planet entering a fire sign. And so I'm getting that this is going to bring harmonies to Sagittarius, the Sagittarius energy that we're currently in, right? As the sun is still transiting Sag, Mercury is still transiting Sag, the moon right now, of course, is in Sag on this new moon. But Venus is about to join the conversation. Um, and that's going to be quite interesting, I think. But especially right now, Venus is like what, 28 degrees in Scorpio, and so it's in the boiling point, what I call the boiling point. It's about to get to the anaretic degree, or basically the 29th degree of Scorpio. Hiya, Evan. How you doing? It's lovely to see you. Thank you for catching this live. What time is it there for you? It's like 6 p.m. here. I did want to do this yesterday, but I remembered I had to. It's great to see you as well. Okay, 1 p.m. Okay, okay. Lunchtime. Nice. Yeah, I wanted to do this yesterday, and you might have seen I did put up a live stream note, but I remembered I had to be at a party. It was so embarrassing. I forgot about the party. I was like half an hour late. So that's why I had to cancel this stream and join the Zoom party. So I'm back today with Venus. So I'm glad you could make it anyway. Um, and let us know where you have. Yes, we've got the solar eclipse in Sag. So we've got the moon in Sag, the sun in Sag, Mercury in Sag, and we're about to have Venus. So we're about to get this stellium. This big stellium is going to start kicking off in Sag. But right now, Venus is in the last few degrees of Scorpio. And so I've been seeing this a lot, like on my social media. The sort of, I guess, the traditional Venus and Scorpio themes playing out, where people's vibes are a bit snarkier right now. Definitely more political because the sun's in Sag, Mercury's in Sag. So people are getting very political. And even people who I don't see normally like doing this kind of thing, they're like very vocal, political about different things. But with Venus hitting or getting very close to the anaretic degree, that 29th degree, Venus is like making the air feel a bit more snarkier, or a bit like, I talked about this before in my Venus in Scorpio video, but the cold hard truth sort of vibe picking up, and that's going to really boil and really really get hot, and then completely die out, and Venus hits Sag, where I think more harmony is actually going to come to the conversation, or to the debates, to the politics. Even if you're seeing politics, if you're interested in politics, I think you're going to see a bit more playfulness or harmony come back to these discourses, and less of the snarkiness, a bit less of the snarkiness. But we do have the grand conjunction coming up Jupiter and Saturn will hit Aquarius, and we will get much more like individualism for sure. But I still think there's going to be more playfulness and harmony in our discussions. Yeah, we need better energy. Absolutely, Evan. Gosh, we do. We need much better energy. And I think Venus and Sag is actually going to be quite a nice transit for us. Bringing harmony to the heat that we're going through right now. But it's not even like a really, really hot Sag season, this particular 2021. It's much, I've talked about this a few times, it's much like more muted. It's much more muted because we're in this rat year as well, this pandemic. And so there's much more of a muted feeling to this Sag season. Like I've been saying, keeping the flame alive is more important actually than like guns blazing, which like last Sag season, and definitely the Sag season before that 2 years ago was definitely like guns blazing, hyper political. Even before Sag season started, it was crazy. But yeah, this one's like warmer, I think. Rat year is terrible. This rat year, yeah, it's definitely the beginning of rat year has been a trip, shall we say. But I do feel that towards the end of the rat year, so getting into February 2021, these rat energies for most of us, I hope, will have matured, and there'll be much more of a clever sense of how to move forward, what to do next. And I feel like a lot of people will have very cleverly reinvented themselves in different ways and they'll come out the other end going into the ox year. They'll come out ready to reach a new stability. That's what's coming for us. Also, yeah, Venus is hotter than Mercury, Earth obviously hotter than Mars. It's like a hot creme brulee energy that's coming up for us in all of our relations and all the Venusian ways. And I just wanted to talk about Sam Cooke. Does anyone know Sam Cooke? He sang the song Cupid, and I think Cupid is a great like sort of archetype to talk about right now for this transit. Yeah, you know Evan, fantastic singer, right? I also love Amy Winehouse's version. Amy Winehouse was a Virgo Sun, Gemini rising. I love her version of the song as well. But there's this one little line in a verse that I wanted to talk about in this video. Let me just find it. So, you know, in this song, Cupid, if you haven't heard it, but the lyrics, it's, you know, it's like Sam Cooke asking Cupid to do the magic on someone that he likes, right? To shoot that arrow, to make her love strong for me, right? And to just hear my cry, right, for this woman, and to make it happen. And there's one, which line is it? Oh yeah, okay, it's kind of the penultimate verse, and it goes, I quote, "Now Cupid, if your arrow make her love strong for me, I promise I will love her until eternity. I know between the two of us, her heart we can steal. Help me if you will." And I really wanted to emphasize the word steal and also the word will here in this song, because when Venus enters Sag and while Mercury is still in Sag, this is going to be prime time for love spells. Let me tell you, it's going to be prime time for love spells, and anyone trying to like force the will of another person, romantically, especially romantically. So that's definitely going to heat up people, the love spells, the people getting the tarot readings about their crush. It's all going to heat up, and like magic and rituals. It's definitely, mark my words, it's going to heat up. People are going to want to get, seize, hunt, capture that sweet thing that they're, you know, in love with or have a crush on. So watch out for like love spell type stuff. And I do want to warn against it actually, because with Venus and Sag, it can make that vibe very like overly venturing, because we know Sag energy can be overboard. Sag energy can be crossing the boundary when it's not asked for or invited. And Sag isn't an outgoing energy. And so when Venus hits Sag, it's going to make that the collective vibe, right? That the beat or the pulsation of the collective. And yeah, I would advise against doing like spells or magic to try and change fate or will within your relationships, because it may well backfire. um, Especially if you're going to do it right now. We've got Saturn at what, 28, 29 degrees? I think it's 29 degrees, right? The anaretic degree over in Capricorn. And we're about to have Venus get to the anaretic degree in Scorpio. So if you're doing anything like that right now, it could really backfire. Or you find out, maybe you've already found out that you get the complete opposite result of what you wanted. So it's always best, I think, to be wise in this particular Sag season than like overly whimsical or woeful and trying to like force through some wizardry, some connection. Yeah, maybe time for a love reading, just like out of curiosity. Yeah, just out of curiosity. I think that's fine, because Sag energy is definitely curiosity. It's when we try to like, I think, force the hand of fate that it can get messy. But that's kind of what I've been feeling for this Venus and Sag transit. And also, yeah, magic against the will of others, that kind of thing. Watch out. Because Sag is also a very, very like otherworldly sort of archetype, just like Gemini is, just like Pisces is. It's always flitting in and out of the animal and the non-animal or the human. And so things can get wild, and Sag can want to bring, you know, certain tools and ideas from other realms into this realm when people aren't necessarily ready for that. And it can burn. But the vibe in general, because Venus is the vibe, right? The vibe in general is going to get heated. Can I say it's going to get very heated? And that can be in the political sense again. And it's going to get scrappy in some cases. So watch out for that. Like people are more raring to go when it comes to a fight. It's a fire sign after all. Fire is passion and fight and expression, and exerting. And so watch out for that kind of thing as well. If you're going to get into an argument or a debate, I think you'd better have your wits about you. Sag and Gemini, this is the wit axis, absolutely. So have your wits about you, and have a broad perspective as well, because Sag energy really does gel well with people who have broad perspectives. So if your perspective is too narrow or outdated or something like that, you're quite likely going to get like laughed at or lambasted or something like that's going to happen. And it could be quite comical as well, because Sag is very hilarious energy. So watch out for like embarrassing yourself with like certain politics or certain announcements that are political that like backfire as well, because Sag energy is like this type of energy all day. So watch out for that. And things, yeah, can get scrappy just more generally. So people are more willing to question why you think the way you think. People are more willing to question why you said what you said. And maybe you're also, well, quite likely you're also going to feel like that increasingly. Raji, that's a word from my hometown that we sometimes use. Raji, like kind of just going wild, like a stallion. Okay, a wild centaur let loose. So the centaurs are about to get even more wild and let loose with Venus entering Sagittarius. So watch out for that as well. Again, people more raring to joust, people more raring to do before they think. Absolutely. Especially if they spent a lot of time in the Venus and Scorpio transit, really vibing with the truth. Now is the time when the truth comes out through arrows and bullets and like remarks and things like that. Okay, so Raji people coming out. But also, what I think this Venus in Sag transit's going to bring for us is definitely a softer kind of thing. More of the creme brulee Venus is coming out here. And what I mean is, we're going to get more of the forgive and forget type of energies, or at least the forgive type of energies. Maybe we don't forget things, but we kind of want to brush things under the rug more. As I said at the beginning of the stream, Venus loves to try to broach peace. It's how, wherever you have Venus in your chart, it's how you try to broach peace with others and with yourself and with whatever you're relating to, just to achieve harmony and to keep that blood flowing, right? So Venus and Sag is like in relationships. Let's just like brush this under the carpet. Let's just call it water under the bridge, whatever the case might be. Let's just get over it as well. So you might find yourself forgiving others more during this transit. You might find yourself forgiven as well by a friend, partner, loved one, whatever. Even enemies as well. You might find that there's more of a like a banter sort of dynamic that comes up surprisingly, and it can be very serendipitous as well, and very good for your reflection on relationships and on life as well. That kind of thing can definitely come up with Sag energy in general. So like just reflecting on what you did as well as what they did, and kind of seeing all the sides and the bigger picture, that's very Sag energy. But there's going to be also attraction of adventure, because Venus, of course, is attraction, and Sag is highly, highly, highly adventurous. And this can be construed in so many different ways. Considering the pandemic, I think it's going to be quite esoteric or figurative adventure. So people wanting to study things completely different to what they normally would study, or people taking a shot at new courses, new classes, or signing up for new things. And maybe it could be something related to your dreams as well, or your wishes, because Sag is definitely about wish energy, dream energy, and like aiming high to hit those targets that you've always wanted to hit as well. So it could be a great time for you to achieve some of this adventure through learning. Of course, Sag is associated with learning as well, wisdom, higher learning, and all that fun jazz. And also sport will be more sport will be attracted, and that can be literal sport. So you might be actually getting involved in more physical sport. But sport is also kind of what I said earlier, like banter, or just jousting and being a sport more in your relationships, and it's just seeing the lighter side of things as well in your relationships and your interactions. So again, more like comedy or humor coming to these relationships, and wit, definitely lots of wit, and parties as well. Look out for that attraction of parties, especially if you're worried about like the coronavirus or something like that. Take a bit more care during this Venus and Sag transit, because this would be where you would attract more situations to have a party or to have a gathering that is more like raucous or more wild, or more carefree. And obviously that could be a problem if you're trying to take care of your health. Now, also, there could be an expansive flow when you are relating, because Sag loves to expand on everything, and Venus is the flow. So watch like what you say. That's what I'm going to say. Watch what you say, because whatever you say, because obviously you're going to say things and think things and feel things that you vibe with more. Just, we're just getting Venus out of Scorpio, but now we're getting into Venus going into an outgoing sign, and so you're about to say much more of what you've been thinking or concluding within, or what you feel. You're going to say it more, so just watch out. what you say, because this is like Sagittarius all day as well, like speaking before they think, and then sometimes regretting it immediately after. Geminis can relate to this as well because it's the same axis. So like, just it just comes out. But for the collective, this is what's going to happen. Things will just come out. And then you might find yourself having to say sorry or buy someone a drink or something like that because you felt like you messed up. But at the same time, I think it will be like well um, received, or it'll be like that kind of water under the bridge type dynamic. So you might be surprised anyway. And but again, like this is, I think we need to remember the wise flow. Yes, Sagittarius and their mouths. Yeah, running their mouths. Absolutely. Running wild and running their mouths. Spoken like a true Gemini, Evan. It's getting hot in here. You know, it's so cold here in London. So I turn the radiator on, but then it gets really hot. Um, but anyway, this kind of, we also need to remember the wise flow of this particular Sag season in the rat year, and how the wise flow is probably better than being too wild with what you're saying, because everyone is in this energy of it's better to watch what I'm doing or watch what I'm saying or watch where I'm going. And that's actually the better overarching energy to be in, at least until like February, March. So also, by the way, let me know in the live stream, if you're tuning in right now, let me know in the live stream if you have anything natally in Sagittarius. Let's have a little conversation about your own placements and what that might mean for you. Like which house is it in as well, Sagittarius for you, or which houses? And if you're watching this after the fact, write me a comment below and I'll get back to your comment to see. Evan, so even if you don't have a planet in Sagittarius natally, you still have Sagittarius somewhere in your chart. So I want you to, if you've got your chart, or if you know your chart well, like think about that. Share with me, where do you have Sagittarius? Like, is it in your first house? Is it in your eighth house? Because that is where not only the Sun, Mercury, and Moon are right now, but it's where Venus is about to enter. And if you're wondering what Sag looks like, the glyph, and I can show you actually. Can you see here? It's this like sort of arrow glyph. It's like an arrow going through a line. That's Sagittarius, the glyph for Sagittarius. It might be the other way around on this stream, but there you go. That's Sagittarius. Look for that glyph. Yeah, like the archer, exactly. The archer. You just reminded us of Taylor Swift's album, not her new one, but the one before. I think it was called The Archer. She's a Sag sun as well, right? Yeah. And I like her song, The Archer. But yes, so let me know where you have Sag, everyone. Finally, then, like just more generally, this transit is going to bring, yeah, Cancer Moon. Just like me. Yeah. I do like Taylor. I do. This transit is going to bring us more generally generosity. Yeah, because Sag is generosity, very like bigger the better, more the merrier type of energy. This is Sag all day. And also Sag is kind of the huge embracer of everyone. Okay, giving you that big hug, giving you that very like hearty laugh. This is Sag. And so this, because Venus is entering this sign, that's going to be the relational vibe more of just like, yeah, just cheering each other on and cheering each other up as well. That's going to be on the increase. And friendliness, of course, because Sag is a very friendly sort of energy usually. And like asking questions out of genuine curiosity and interest, and inviting people to things, inviting people to join you on the ride in your life. And so that's quite nice. And curiosity as well will be on the increase. So getting more curious about things or about people and just wanting to know. I kind of talked about this in my video on the new moon in Sag, I think. So look out for that. But laughter also is probably going to increase, like literal laughter and laughter, like returning. If it's not increasing, it could be in returning to your relationships, like humor, positivity, laughter coming back. And for some people, this is after a very, very, very long time. There's finally like a silver lining type of thing, or there's finally like joy. And usually this is how it is, right? Every year, for those who celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, anything sort of around this time of year, Thanksgiving, usually during Sag season, this is what it is. Like the laughter increases, the heartiness increases, and joy is intensified. But it's even more significant for some people right now in this 2020 year. Because of obviously the pandemic and lots of personal loss and trauma and just dealing with this very, very, very different transition that we're going through in this right year, at the beginning of a whole new Chinese astrological cycle. So we're at the very beginning of a whole new cycle there. And also when Jupiter and Saturn hit Aquarius, we're at the beginning of those two planets conjuncting in air signs. They conjunct in air signs every like 20 years, and they've just started to begin that pattern of conjuncting in air signs. They're going to conjunct in Aquarius. So we're starting two very, very, very important parts of cycles that will have been shaking a lot of us up this past year. So I think this particular moment in the Sag season could be really, really nice and significant for some people, because the joy really does return and the laughter really does return, and looking on the bright side really returns. And a more optimistic way of relating to things. That's kind of all I had for this little. I went over my planned 15 minutes, but that doesn't matter, whatever. I hope you enjoyed it. And Evan, you've got it in the third house. Okay, so Venus is going through a third house. The third house is the house of how you personally relate. It's also the house of siblings, cousins. Sometimes it's called your tribe. It is like how you personally perceive as well. And it's like all your localities. So that could be physical localities, surroundings, and also digital localities. So all the kind of websites that you might go on, or social media you might consume. Venus is entering all these themes, or about to enter all these themes for you, and bring more attraction for you. Bring more harmony to the way you relate, bring more softness, because Venus is about that softness, that creme brulee sort of thing coming through. So more softness to how you relate, how you're thinking about things. So that's very nice. And 26 degrees. Wow. Wow, you have it 26 degrees in Sag. So that's also, so you also have this new moon in your third house, right? Yeah, this new moon, or no, actually, I think it's going to be in your second house, this new moon, right? Because the new moon is 23 degrees of Sagittarius, Evan. So yeah, the new moon is super significant for your second house of those assets of yours, Evan, personal assets, your money, your material, your stuff, and your sense of value that is attached to that stuff. And also opportunities coming to you. In traditional astrology, the second house is about what is to come. And that can definitely be the money. It can also be opportunities, stuff that is coming to you that you can't see yet. Venus is probably there right now. but the new moon definitely is super significant for you in that second house sense. You are very welcome, Evan. You are very welcome. And I hope everyone else watching enjoyed this little stream on this Monday moon day, on this new moon in Sag day. I hope you have a fantastic new moon sort of intention experience. Do check out my new moon in Sag video if you're interested in that. It's already on my channel. And I will be back at some point. My next thing that I'm going to come and talk about is the grand conjunction. Yeah, so look out for that. That might be tomorrow. So maybe see you tomorrow. Have a lovely rest of the day, night, wherever you are. And I'll see you all later. I love you very much. Take care.